Okay, so we're gonna mix Serban Ghenea style. Serban Ghenea style. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but that's how I've heard it pronounced that way. So, I've been messing around with the God particle, right? And, you know, I have my thing. You know, I used to know, like, all those other channel strips, the Brainworks ones and everything. I love them, I do. But it's, like, too much mojo for this thing. Like, the God particle, I love the God particle, man, the way it sounds. That's my, basically, it's now my master bus chain. However, you know, like some of the mixes are coming in kind of crunchy, a little harsh, you know, with some of those other plugins that I use. My 9000, SSL 9000J is a perfect example, man. That thing comes in so fucking sharp through the God particle. So, to me, I've realized this, that you have to have different master bus chain if you're using, like, some different, like, setup. But this one is more geared toward, like, what the pros are typically doing. And, yes, I got fucking Pro Tools up. I do. Okay, and I've talked so much shit about this program, and yes, I'm not a big fan of the people who use it, who just say it's the best fucking thing ever, and it's not. This is not the best program. It's not. I personally feel like Studio One is the best one, but I'm not using Studio One because I'm doing a Serban style setup, so. The metric halo channel strip is most stable in Pro Tools. It is. I don't know why. They designed it for Pro Tools first and then VST. And it crashes like another DAWs. It pisses me off when it does. But it works completely fine in Pro Tools. God Particle, I'm sure, is geared toward Pro Tools because pros are, for the most part, are using Pro Tools. Not because it's the best software. It's just the software that everybody's been using forever. So, the same thing with this channel strip. Like, is this Metric Halo the best channel strip out there? No, by far, but it does the job, right? And it's old, and guys know it for, you know, and they get a good sound out of it. And it's the sound you're hearing on the radio all over the fucking place. And so, I mean, it is what it is, right? So, I went and checked out the John Haynes interview, the Q&A and stuff like that. And their mixing system is so basic, dude. It's so basic. They're not doing all this crazy shit that everybody else is doing, okay? A lot of the times, if they're doing something, like say for instance, busing, you know, for more processing and stuff like that, they do it only when they need to. And that was kind of the thing when I was getting on these people when I was using Harrison Mix Bus. And I was like, dude, I'm not really busing anything unless I must, you know? And they're kind of like, oh, get it. What the fuck? That's what this program is built on, you know, it's basically running everything through buses. And I know a lot of people use Pro Tools too, and they like to create shit tons of buses to do everything. And they talk about Michael Brower, and they love the way he mixes, and he's got all these buses, you know. But his master bus chain is different, and all sort of stuff. But for what we're doing, we have this nice plugin right here. So this is pretty easy, pretty simple, man. You just throw God Particle, on the master bus, and you don't do anything. You don't even touch the fucking master bus, man. You just do your thing. That fader, of course, is an input gain fader, not an output. But that's okay. I got output right here, right? So we're good. So we're gonna mix into this. This apparently is based on. They say it's. Some people are saying it's based on Jaycen Joshua's Ozone 4 presets. Now get this. These guys at the top, they share within each other like, oh yeah, bro, you gotta be using the Metric Halo. Yeah, bro, this is my mix bus chain. Yeah, bro, this is my vocal chain. You know, a lot of guys sharing knowledge among each other. The reason why they can share their knowledge like that, like for instance, they go, well, if we had that knowledge, then they wouldn't need Serban anymore. But they still want to use him because they like him, you know. He gives them a fair price. He's nice to them. They enjoy his company. You know, they just like him as a person, and they know that his work ethic is good. They never have to wait. You know, he gets it done. That's why they have a relationship with that guy. So it doesn't matter if I know how to mix like him. They're not going to use me. They don't know me. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing like my buddies, my clients and stuff like that, man. They know me. They don't know you. So why would they go to you? They know me. They know if they come to me and say, hey, bro, I got a project going on. Can you mix it for me? Send it. Let's go. You know? and then throw something in my PayPal, whatever. You know the drill, right? And we're good to go. And they already know that they can depend on me. They know I'm not going to put their project off. I'm not going to shelve it or anything. I'm gonna when I say, okay, we're on this project, boom, we're doing it. You know. And I think it's the same thing with Serban. They know that he's got a process. He's going to get things done for them. And so I'm doing the same thing, essentially. So real quick here, I just want to make sure that you guys can see my screen really well. Yeah, you can see everything. I mean, that's the far left track. Okay. So I just want to make sure you guys can see that. So anyway, long story short, I don't want to talk too much. We want to get to mixing. This is a very basic setup. You're going to watch this and go, okay, there was nothing special about this mix. Exactly. That's the whole point. Less is more, right? Another thing that I learned is, you see me in a lot of my videos, is I actually EQ into a compressor. Well, these guys, they say don't do that. They say EQ after the compressor. And that was kind of like a thing that was taught to me a long time ago. EQ after the compressor a long time ago, because after you compress your transients, you want to be able to basically kind of bring up a little bit of what was taken away, as opposed to like pushing into it. But then, of course, I heard like people who mix on SSL consoles will push into the compressor to get a sound out of it. So I mean, I guess mixing philosophy is based on your mixing system. In this case, we got a Serban mixing system. This is very basic. They talk about all this other shit that they do. I read their fucking Q&A, everything from the beginning to end. Watch other videos and stuff about that, and then tested these things out in mixes and found that they are not lying to you. They're not hiding anything from you. They really have a very simple way of mixing, but they're consistent and they get good results, and they do special things per mix. So like on a mix that I'm doing right here, there's really nothing going on. We don't need to add buses and all this other stuff. We don't. For one, I have a drum track that has all the drums on one track on this one. So there's no need to run a bus. Why would I do that? I mix it on that one channel, right? We don't need to go and then push it out to a bus and throw an 1176 on that, and then throw a channel strip after that, and also so that's just way too much processing. So they said they like to keep the signal path as clean as possible. So basically, just keeping as much shit out of the way as possible to get the sound they want, and that's what we're going to do today. So let's go.
was going rapid fire, can't help myself, blame it on the golden wires I crossed and tell. Only one who knew could save it inside was me, but I knew that I'd hate it. Oh, I'm done, complete, and leaving me free, yeah. Comfy, I'm running out of steam. I wake up and I'm picking up pieces. Are you willing to say that I feel it? Complete and leaving me free, yeah. Comfy, I'm running out of steam. I wake up and I'm picking up pieces. Are you willing to say that I feel it? The ink is quickly fading. I know. I wake up and I'm picking shit on this skin. Are you willing? I was going rapid fire, can't help myself, blame it on the golden wires I crossed and I was going rapid fire. Only one who knew could say, can't help myself inside, blame it on the golden was me, but I knew that I'd hate I crossed and only one who could say complete and leaving me free, yeah. Comfy, I'm running out of steam. I wake up and I'm picking up pieces. Are you willing to say that I feel it? Complete and leaving me free, yeah. Comfy, I'm running out of steam. I wake up and I'm picking up pieces. Are you willing to say that myself when I played it, and no differences. All I meant to do was wait, and I caught it from myself. How you even wasted it on me this time? I would never know, but I'll fake it. I'm not complete and leaving me free, yeah. Complete, I'm running out of steam. I wake up and I'm picking up pieces. Are you willing to see it? I feel it. Complete and leaving me free, yeah. Complete, I'm running out of steam. I wake up and I'm picking up pieces. Are you willing to say it? I feel it. The ink is quickly fading. I'm sick of shit, I'm sinking. The ink is quickly fading. I'm sick of shit, I'm sinking. I'm sick of shit. Complete and leaving me free, yeah. Complete, I'm running out of steam. I wake up and I'm picking up pieces. Are you willing to see it? I feel it. Complete and leaving me free, yeah.
Okay, so that sounds pretty good to me. So, I don't like necessarily mixing tracks where I don't have control over the drums, but it is what it is. In this case, I didn't have control over the drum, except the drum track itself, so I had to treat it more like a bus in a way. There were certain things like in the drum track that I didn't like how the kick and the kick drum and the 808 kind of were blending into each other, and that's just something that was a decision that was made, whoever made the stems. So it is what it is. You gotta live with it because that's what they wanted. Because I mean we have a bass sound right here. Let me just check that real quick.
Leaving me free, yeah. Wake up.
Okay, so that bass sound was like a little bass guitar, and then the drums. Of course, the 808 was sitting on the drum track. I guess it was tucked a little bit behind the kick drum, but there would have been some things I would have changed about that. So I think that this mix turned out decent, but I don't think we say that it's a Serban style mix. Well, we attempted that, but Serban would have had control over the drum tracks. You see, so it's not totally. No, not even. Now, we say the Serban used the God particle. Well, no, of course not. He's got his own master bus chain. But this is interesting because it's Jaycen Joshua's master bus chain. And I've watched some videos on him, and this is the only thing sitting on his master bus. This is it. He just mixes right into that. And that's what I'm doing. And it sounds good. Sounds good. I mean, I can't hate the way it sounds wonderful. I like the way it sounds. Can you do it on your own? Sure. If you want to go play around with a bunch of plugins, try to figure it out yourself. But for me, I don't like recreating the wheel. So somebody built the wheel, I'll take it, right? Build on top of that, you know. So this is a very simple mixing system. I mean, that sounded pretty decent. And the only other thing that I did that was any different was I already knew their vocal, well, I don't know their complete vocal chain, but the basic vocal chain, which was 1176 Bluey, or sometimes black, but usually bluey. 10 decibels of gain reduction, going into the metric halo channel strip where you're just using the EQ on it. That's the only thing, and then a de-esser. Now I'm not using the same de-esser they're using. I'm using a stock Pro Tools de-esser. You know I use the FabFilter one too, but when I'm in Pro Tools, I like to use this one. I like this de-esser better. And they also have I think they use like a Waves one, like a Renaissance de-esser, which I don't have, so that's why I didn't use it. Otherwise, I would have. I would have used it. I would have replicated everything they use. But yeah, that's it. And then metric halo and everything else. Because there's no reason. Like, what special shit could I have done to these drums? Maybe I could have put a black box. I don't think they use it. I could have maybe thrown a black box over it, made the drums like massive and huge, but at the same time, they were pretty massive as it is, so I didn't feel like it needed it. So, I mean, a lot of the times, sometimes you get a mix that's basically this basic, this easy, and then that's it. And you just mix that. You just mix that. You mix whatever they give you. Call it a day. So that's what I did. So here we have full acapella and lead only. So it sounded like this was something different. So I'm gonna go back and listen to that, because if that's a useless track, well then I don't need that either. So let's listen to that real quick.
Was me, but I knew that I'd hate it. Oh, leaving me free, yeah. Comfy, I'm running out of steam. Leaving me free, yeah. Comfy, I'm running out of steam. I wake up and I'm picking up pieces.
Okay. So it's as I suspected. It was just a background vocal. So, you know, I go back over the mix and I read these things and I'm like, wait a second, lead only. What? That's a lead vocal? Well, it didn't sound like a lead vocal. It's a background vocal. They said BG only. This is background vocals. Well, not really. They're more like ad-libs. This is the main track, main vocal track right here. They just call it full acapella. So that kind of stuff just throws me off, you know. So you gotta be prepared for things like that. This is a pretty basic mix, though. Took my time, though, because there were certain things that just, I thought, you know, I think that, to be honest, I think these tracks sound like trash to me. You know, I mean, I'm not saying the music is good. I just think the tracks were kind of, like, crummy sounding. But I tried my best to make them sound good. Oh, man, this system right here works wonders when you have nice, clean tracks, man. When you have good, quality sounds coming in, man, it just works wonders. But I think it did okay. So we'll do some more videos, man. So this one is kind of based on Serban Ghenea's mixing style. I know they got other things. They got UAD stuff, which I don't own. Stuff like that they also use to get their sound. But this is like the gist of it. You know, if you talk about, like, you know, oh, what console did like CLA mix on? Well, an SSL 4000. Well, I go, well, okay, we got a lot of things going on in the box that really kind of prevent you from getting total console sound. And it's kind of like, well, this is basically like what Serban had said, that this is basically a console for him, is Pro Tools and Metric Halo. And Metric Halo was designed to be digital, right? This is all digital stuff. But it's a good, clean digital. It doesn't sound like crap. It sounds good, you know. And then, of course, the God Particle that's a plugin. It's not, they don't even have hardware based on that. It's a plugin. I think they're going to make hardware, though, so you can have a hardware box of the God Particle, which is really cool. But this really simplifies the process. You know, the only time you want to use, like, you know, all these different chains and stuff is when you're trying to control a lot of different tracks, or you got a lot of different, you know, like, say, for instance, you got like a lot of background vocals or something like that. Well, then run that into a bus and then process them all at once. So I guess you won't process them individually, process them at once. That makes sense. Less is more. And in this case, that's what we do with this mix. Less is more. A lot of the magic you hear in the sound comes from the production side. So you got to think that, you know, you don't want to... And I'm guilty about this. Like, I just mixed one of my friend's songs, and he liked it, but was somewhat pissed off at me a little bit for, like... he's like, dude, these sounds are already perfect, man. You don't need to do anything to them. And then I'm like, well, yeah, but I want to make sure it's got consistent color with the vocals and stuff. And he's like, no, don't do that. Please don't. And then I did it anyway. And then he's kind of like, all right, well, that did sound okay. So whatever, do your thing. But let's be honest here. He's really flexible, as a person. And he understands, the mind of a mix engineer because he does a lot of mixing himself. He's a mix engineer too. But he was the producer on this one. And he wanted to have a different mixer on it. But not this song, different one. But he got, you don't want to, for him, he's cool, right? But you don't want to, you got other clients that are going to be like, dude, don't change anything. What the hell are you doing? So you need something that's kind of more colorless and flexible in terms of like, okay, I'm not really changing anything here. I'm just, from what I'm hearing, adding a little bit of top, maybe a little bit of bottom. Maybe I won't add anything at all. And it's like those kind of things. This case, when you run Metric Halo, it's not adding really. I mean, you're adding a little bit of EQ, but those are little moves, a little bit of compression, little moves. And it's a very transparent plugin because it's not trying to give you any color. This is a colorless channel strip. This was not, you want analog sound, you're not going to get it from this, But that's perfectly fine. That's what, because they're like, hey, look, we've already added all the vibe to this. When we talk about vibe, they've added color, harmonics, and stuff like that to their sounds already before they even gave them to you. So don't add any more. The whole point, actually, it's kind of a funny thing, but the whole point of what an SSL console was supposed to be, back in the day, it was supposed to be like this. It's transparent. Hey, look, man, they already recorded through a Neve console, so it's got all the color it needs. Just mix it. Give it a little bit of EQ, compression, whatever you think you need to make all those tracks fit together like a puzzle. But don't change the color. Don't really change anything we got going on here. Make what we have going on fit, and then like I tell people now, just bake your plugins, man. Don't send me the Pro Tools session with all your plugins on it, because I might be tempted to remove them. Just send me the multi tracks. Just send me the tracks and just print them, bake your sound into it, and then I'll work with that. Try to make that sound as good as it can. I'm not going to take anything off. Because there's another thing too. I heard, I watched a video of Jaycen Joshua where he actually learned this crazy drum bus chain, which I'm probably never going to do because I don't see the point in doing this. I get it though. They're getting a sound, which is weird. They have this chain order of NLS bus plugins, which my logic tells me, I don't know why they're doing this. It's basically saturation, but it's different console type saturation and shapes, and they do it 8 times to get the drums to hit a certain way. And then when Jaycen Joshua was removing that stuff, he said that basically the drums fell apart. And he goes, that gave it a certain sound. So instead of me, I don't even own NLS. So I should probably go buy it, but I don't own it. And I'm not about to do that trick. That's ridiculous to me, especially on my, my computer, man. I can't handle 8 plugins of NLS just doing nothing, basically, other than just providing saturation. And because they're driving it differently on each channel. It's just crazy. But 8 NLS bus plugins on a drum bus. To me, I don't see any point in doing that. That's just insanity to me. But they get a sound out of that, so it is what it is. I don't have to copy everything they're doing. I read up on, now you got to take everything they tell you with a grain of salt. That's why I'm testing it out. I read the John Haynes interview, who's the assistant to Serban Ghenea, and it's kind of well, Serban's, he's got some proprietary chains that obviously cannot be released. So was that the Serban vocal chain I just did? No, it wasn't. It's very basic. It's more just John Haynes. This is his vocal chain. That's what that is. It's not really Serban's vocal chain. Serban's doing some other stuff on top of these 3 plugins. Or maybe he's not doing anything at all. If it sounds good, sounds good. But we're never going to know that unless you go hang out with them. Or you go to some kind of, what do I call it? Some kind of music business thing and get them drunk and then start talking about what their plug-in chains are, and they just start spilling the beans. Otherwise, if you're not privy to those conversations, you're never going to know, right? And it is what it is. And you got to think that to some degree, are they giving us a bunch of BS? Are they trying to sell plugins and stuff like that? I didn't feel like the John Haynes interview tried to sell plugins. I mean, they were basically saying that they try not to do too much, you know. Don't try to change the vision of the original song. Don't overprocess anything. Your job as a mixer basically is to take what they gave you and mix it, right? Just put it all together, make it sound good, balance it all out, and then send that off to the mastering engineer, whose job is to make it loud and make it tonally perfect. And then that's it. That's all you're doing. Most of the decision of what that sound's going to be like is really handled at the production stage. Yeah, the producer's the one over there baking everything with like 20 plugins, you know. But I mean, you can be creative, you know. Maybe you don't like the decision. They gave it to you, right? So they go, hey, we're giving you the mix because you got a certain way you're going to mix it. It's going to sound good, and that's what we want. We want your sound. So you might decide, okay, well, those drums sound like crap, and I'm going to process it through something else. But that's why I tell them, hey, man, just bake your sound into it, and then I'll work with it. So if I think those drums sound weak, thin, whatever, I got black box. It's all good. I'll make those drums massive. But a lot of the times, those are just tools you reach when you need them. You don't use them on everything. You know, like, a jackhammer is a tool. You're not going to use that to build a house. You know, you're going to use it to break up some concrete. You're not going to use it to build a house with. So, you know, each tool's got its specific use. In this case, yeah, I'm not going to throw a black box over everything, but I'll use it on drums when they sound weak and thin and I need to give them some power. That black box, man, is just wonderful on drums. But otherwise, how many times have you guys ever seen me use it? Like in any of my videos? Like, I don't think I've maybe used it in any of my videos. Maybe one video off the top of my head. But I don't really use the black box much because I don't need to. The drums are already big and sexy already by the time I get them. So, but I'm also like a producer too, so I make beats and stuff. And I probably use black box more when I'm making the beat. And then I bake it into my tracks and then I go mix it like this. So anyway, this mixing system sounds pretty good. It's consistent. I've already done like a whole bunch of other mixes this way earlier. So it's consistent. And I think it works. So I don't hate it. This is basically a no-nonsense mixing setup. And it's Pro Tools, so everybody can shut up about that on top of it all. So I don't have to hear like guys go, you know Pro Tools? You're not a pro if you don't use Pro Tools. You guys see, I know how to use any workstation, any one of them. And if I don't know how to use it, I'll learn. I use any one of them, dude. So can I make a mix on Pro Tools? I just did it. Studio One, I love Studio One. I do it on that too. Harrison Mix Bus, I love Harrison Mix Bus. I use that too at times. You know? FL Studio, I love it for making beats. Do I love it for mixing? Not really, but I have shown that you can mix on FL Studio just fine. This doesn't have a sound. Okay, yeah, it kind of does. It kind of does. Let's get that argument out of the way. I'll show you where it does have a sound. Okay, but I'm not using the sound on this. It's right here. It's heat. You turn that on, now it has a sound. Otherwise, Pro Tools don't have a sound. The way that I just did this, I could have done it in FL Studio. It had the same exact sound. So there you have it. Anyway, I'm done jibber jabbering. Like 46 minutes. So I like ranted for like 15 minutes at the end of the mix. So I'm gonna go print this, and then I'm gonna go master it and call it a day. You guys be good. I'm gonna do more mixes. Probably gonna use more Pro Tools. It is what it is because now I'm not saying it's the industry standard. It is, but it's not the best workstation. It's not the best. I don't think so. I think it's far from the best. I think it's one of the worst ones. But I gotta use it because it is what it is. The Metric Halo channel strip works best in this thing. So, because it's the AAX version, it's not the VST. The VST is kind of buggy depending on the... Some people say, oh, I never have problems. Well, okay, well, that's you. You don't have the same OS. Maybe you have the same OS I do. You don't have the same computer with the same specs. So, you know... I don't know. I don't think I have anything wrong with this computer. I'm just saying, it's just you don't have the same computer with the same specs. So sometimes, you have the same motherboard, same CPU, same GPU. These things, some of these plugins run off the GPU. So those kind of things, communicate to a, what is this? Time-based selector. Okay. I was just wondering what that was. Anyway, so, yeah, different strokes, different folks, different plugins work better in other workstations and they work terrible in others. I tried it in Reaper, but then Reaper has a problem on this computer. It doesn't communicate with my audio drivers very well, which sucks because I like using Reaper. Studio One's work pretty perfect for me, but once again, Metric Halo sometimes it's not even seen by Studio One, and other times it is, and I don't know what's up with that. FL Studio is wonderful, but it's a terrible DAW for mixing, in my opinion, because it's just not user-friendly for mixers. It's user-friendly for producers. It's a producer's DAW. So make beats in it, and you can mix your beats in there, but it's not really geared toward like mixing engineer type of stuff. I couldn't even tell you how to make a beat in Pro Tools. Like I don't even know where to begin to make a beat in here. But to me, it's just a mixing DAW. I know there's people who make beats in this, but to me, I think that's just crazy. When FL Studio is just like literally, you launch it and start making a beat. Like right now, I couldn't even where would I even begin? But mixing, man, this is geared toward mixing to me. And probably editing. It's probably got some good editing tools, but I don't do any editing unless I absolutely have to. But it works well with the Metric Halo channel strip, so that's why I'm using it. Well, anyway, you guys be good, man. I'm done talking. Watch my other videos. I got all these other mixing videos, and you can give me your opinion. Why don't you drop a comment, man? Give me your opinion. Go, hey, I like the way that sounds, or go, no, I like the way you were mixing before with that other plugin. Why don't you throw that in there and give me some of your things. Say, yeah, that God particle's okay, but I like the way you were mixing before when you in your other master bus chain or something like that. Throw your opinions in there and just let me know. All right. Anyway, you guys be good. Or you know what? If you want to share yours with me, by all means, tell me. Hey, this is my chain. This is what I use. These are the plugins I like to use over my session. Why don't you give them a go? And I probably will. And there'll be a video, and I'll pay homage to you in the video. Go, oh, my friend, this guy in one of the video comments told me try this, so we're trying it today. And why not, man? I'm a student too of the game. I've been mixing music for 20 plus years. See, I started in 98, so 98, 08, 18. That's 24 years. 24 years. I'm sorry, I'm slow at math, dude. I can do the math, but I gotta work it out in my brain. Simple math. You guys probably already figured it out. Oh, it was 24 years ago, bro. Okay, well. So yeah, 24 years I've been doing this. So, anyhow, you guys be good, man, and I'm out. Peace.